So this probably goes without saying, but if you haven't seen my latest film, Dead Pixels, I'm gonna spoil everything, so this is your chance to leave the video. I will put it up in the card and you can go click on that, and you're gone. Or you're still here. If you're still here, I'll talk to you about the making of it. I haven't made a film in a couple of years now, and for this first film back, I really wanted things to be low stakes and to be able to experiment. And so I decided to have the smallest casting crew possible, one person. The visual effects for this film definitely shaped the direction I took the story. Figuring out what I could actually execute on and that would look good shaped where I went with things. Initially, I was a little bit more ambitious with my ideas. I thought, oh yeah, I can use Blender and 3D stuff. My VFX guy can handle that. He's done the donut tutorial. And then the VFX guy was like, no. And so instead I stuck with my old pal After Effects. For the phone stuff in this movie, I didn't want to do things in post-production because that would have meant I would have to motion track the footage and rotoscope my fingers, like actually interacting and touching with the screen. So what I did is basically did all the visual effects in pre-production. And then I just made these into videos that I could play on set. And I gave myself little audio cues.
2, 1, go.
So the part where you see me like scrolling with the phone, I'm not actually touching the screen with my thumb. Otherwise, that would trigger the little video timeline down here and you'd be able to tell it was a video. To make the pattern, I just followed this Illustrator tutorial here on YouTube. A big inspiration for that design was Missing No. So if you're not familiar, back in the original Pokemon Game Boy game, there was this little area of the game that you could surf. It would trigger this glitch where there was this Pokemon that would show up that was just really glitchy and creepy looking, and it was called Missing No or Missing Number Pokemon. It was like this unofficial Pokemon in the game. You know, this was before the internet was really big, and there were all these rumors and like, oh, if you catch it, like it can ruin your game or ruin your Game Boy. And I caught it when I was a kid, and I was just always freaked out by it, kind of thinking that my Game Boy was possessed. I was also able to use the pattern as a displacement map in After Effects and create these glitchy phone effects. To create the monster, I used the Liquify tool in Photoshop. It is really easy to use and gives you a lot of flexibility to make some creepy stuff. Then I just brought that into After Effects and motion tracked it onto the body. For the eyes, I just took video of my eyes in different positions and then stitched all the whites together to make one completely white eye. The wall face cutout was pretty simple. I just found a photo that had kind of a nice textured edge that looked like a wall. As far as actually overlaying myself on the wall, usually I would like green screen this or rotoscope it, but because of the extreme levels of light in the scene, my dark silhouette, and then the bright wall behind me, I was actually able to just set it to screen mode and it worked perfectly. I didn't have to do any rotoscoping or anything. For the part where the monster reaches through and touches the phone, that is basically just rotoscope work right there. The final scene with like the face melting, this was a new technique for me. It's called data moshing. You might have seen it before on like social media. There's some cool videos with it. The original way to do it is actually free, but it's kind of time consuming from what I could tell. So instead I found this plugin for After Effects, which allowed me to experiment with some different footage and some different settings until I got a result that I felt was pretty creepy. The plugin is called Datamosh. It does cost like $39, but you can take advantage of their 10-day free trial, which is exactly what I did in this case. If I were to do data moshing again though, I would 100% buy that plugin. All right, let's talk cinematography. So making sure things are in focus is definitely one of the hardest parts about shooting a film by yourself. I think you've basically got 3 ways to combat this problem if you're gonna shoot a film by yourself. You either have to limit your movement, which is basically what I did in this film. You can shoot with a slow aperture, so like everything is in focus basically, which in this case wasn't really possible because it's such a low light scenario. Or you can use autofocus and just pray that things are in focus when you review the footage. I think one thing that helped me here is that I used wider lenses. That allowed me to stand really close to the camera and look at the monitor and see if I was in focus or not. And then without changing my position, I could just reach out and change the focus. As far as lighting goes, the real hero of the story here are my Aputure MC lights. They're these great little RGB lights. You can make it any color you want. You can control it through Bluetooth on your phone. They have built-in lighting effects. You change the brightness. They're super small and they have these strong magnets in them, so you can attach them to anything. I almost tried to attach it to the boom mic there. One thing that's so great about them being so small is that I was actually able to use them for all the scenes where I was supposed to be lit by my phone light. So I was able to just put them right here in front of my phone and then just hold it with my thumb. And then I just set it to this kind of yellowish greenish color, which matches the color on the flashlight of your phone. For the opening scene with the flickering light of Bug.me, I used a Smart Hue bulb. They're these Bluetooth bulbs that cost only $10 to $20 and you can control them through your phone. And so I meant to take this out, but I forgot. You can actually see me moving my thumb back and forth, sliding the brightness up and down in that scene. I also used this Tiffen Black Pro Mist quarter filter on my lens for the whole shoot. A lot of people say it looks film-like, and I kind of agree. It just softens things in a pleasant way, but still, the stuff you want to be sharp is still sharp. And let me give you a pro tip about buying these. To get these new, it costs like $120 if you want the biggest size, which is probably the size you should get because it will fit on any lens. But one of my favorite websites, and this is not sponsored, KEH.com. They sell used equipment, and the great thing about them is they have a grading system for what shape the equipment is in. I think I may have got this one for bargain grade, and it works perfectly. So I got this for 44 bucks instead of 120 bucks. Pretty happy with it. So for the tunnel scene, again, I used the Aputure MC lights. I just set one to red and one to blue and put them on either side of the tunnel. For the tunnel itself, it's just black foam core board I got from Michaels. By the way, never pay full price at Michaels. There's always a coupon available. For the scene with the bright moving light, I used this cheap projector I got off Amazon last year. I actually got it for a music video for a Portland band here called Cloudlines. I did a similar effect in the video. I made these assets that I just projected, and I probably made 10 of them or so, and I was able to just reuse those for this film. The hardest shot of the film was definitely the pan down shot right after the projector part, because I just had to do that shot blind and then review the footage until I had one that worked. So a great thing about horror films is you don't necessarily need to be a musician to make the soundtrack for your film. You can get away with making kind of creepy or unsettling sounds. And so for this film, I used my guitar to make a bunch of weird noises. I kind of just scraped some of the strings while it was plugged in. I actually used scissors in one part, I used a knife, I used a metal capo along kind of the high notes. Just made a bunch of weird noises. And then I took those recordings and I brought them into Audition and I processed them. I got this almost kind of synthy Blade Runner-y sound by using a combination of a chorus, a notch effect, and an equalizer. For this other part, I made this more stringy sound by taking some of the recordings of the high notes and bringing them into the free program Audacity. And inside the program, there's this feature called Pulse Stretch that you can take sounds and basically slow them way down but maintain the audio pitch. And that turned into kind of a stringy sound. That was cool. For the actual sound of the film, I didn't record anything on set. That would have been crazy, having to set up the boom mic for every single shot. And so that was all done in post, like the footsteps and creaking and stuff. That was pretty easy. For the glitch sounds in the film, I wanted to experiment with making my own glitch sounds, and I used this feature in Audacity that lets you import raw files. Photoshop files and Blender files made some really cool sounds that I was able to use. As far as editing goes, that is one of the harder things to do when you're acting or directing in your own project, because you just lose objectivity. You're like, is this good? I don't know. Premiere, the night before I was gonna post it the next morning, it just would not open the file for the project, seemingly out of nowhere. I'm done with Premiere. Overall, it was a rewarding experience making every piece of the film and putting it together, but it was also a ton of work and a really slow process. I'm really looking forward to when this pandemic calms down and I can work with a few actors and maybe a few crew members. Filmmaking is a collaborative medium and it's just better with friends. Anyways, that about wraps up the making of Dead Pixels. If you want to support this channel and see more films and filmmaking videos, it would really help if you could give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you soon.